where President Bola Tinubu is scheduled to address the 78th session of the United Nations General Assembly later today. The president had met with the presidents of South Africa and the Union of Comoros Island on the sidelines of the ongoing session of the United Nations General Assembly. President Tinubu is seeking to use these meetings to seek more investments and the promotion of mutual cooperation between Nigeria and the global community. And joining me from New York for developments surrounding the UN General Assembly is TVC News State House correspondent Femi Akonde. Femi, the president will be or is about to become the fifth African president to address the United Nations General Assembly on its first night. What issues is he expected to raise in this much anticipated speech?
Well, Precious, we expect to hear Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu talk about the need to change the global financing order. You know, that was the message he took to France when that summit was convened. That was what he took to the G20 summit in India. And that is what he has been pushing on the African front, and indeed using his leadership of ECOWAS to ensure that smaller countries, disadvantaged countries, poorer countries in Africa are given a better leverage when it comes to negotiating global financing. And even some of them are considered for debt pardon because these debts are weighing down these African countries, also hindering access to loans and other kind of financing for development on the continent. We also expect President Bola Tinubu to make a case for the need to strengthen democratic institutions in Africa, for the need for talk about the need for international communities to stand strongly against military coups that seem to be becoming the order of the day in the West African region, looking at Mali, Burkina Faso, and the latest Niger Republic. Look, he would also call for support from the international community for sanctions that has been imposed by ECOWAS on Niger and indeed other countries where coup d'etats has happened. You know, he's going to call for isolations of this country. He believes that this will further apply pressure on the military coup plotters to cede power and restore constitutional order. So we believe President Bola Tinubu will be making a case not only for Nigeria, but for ECOWAS as the chairman of the Authority of Heads of State and Government, and for Africa. Precious.
Absolutely. He's in that meeting wearing two hats, as you just mentioned. But you also reported that he has had or he has met the president of South Africa, the president of the Union of Comoros Island. What highlights can you give us from those meetings?
Well, Precious, and just about 30 minutes ago, he also met on the sidelines of Onga with the King of Jordan and the President of Angola. And we know Nigeria and Jordan also have a good relationship, especially in military ties and all of that. They have also been quite helpful in helping Nigeria combat terrorism. And Nigeria and Angola are both oil exporting countries, both members of the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, and they have a lot in common. And, you know, like that of South Africa, the relationship between Nigeria and South Africa dates back to independence, and it was formalized in 1994 after the apartheid regime. The trade ties between Nigeria and South Africa, trade volume between Nigeria and South Africa is more than $2 billion. And, you know, it's expected that this would also increase when the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement comes full into implementation. So President Bola Tinubu is looking to get more investment from these countries into Nigeria. He believes that this would be a key to fast-track economic growth and development, create jobs, and put the economy on that pedestal where he wants it to be, as contained in the Renewed Hope agenda. Precious.
And finally, Femi, we know that the president will be staying or will be away for about 8 to 9 days. Can you give us an insight into his itinerary?
Well, there are so many bilateral meetings already scheduled for President Bola Tinubu. We also understand that he will be meeting with President Joe Biden of the United States. Well, the President, Joe Biden, is currently in the UN building where we are right now. President Bola Tinubu is also there. We do not know when that meeting will happen, if it will indeed happen today. But President Joe Biden will still be around in New York for a couple of days. Also, he also would have some other meetings scheduled. But that meeting will still happen. Tomorrow, President Bola Tinubu will be at the New York Stock Exchange to ring the closing bell. And that means so much for Nigerian businesses. That means so much for a lot of businesses quoted on the New York Stock Exchange. President Bola Tinubu will be able to talk to them, talk to the chief executive officers of these businesses, talk to them about Nigeria being open for business, about the need to come and invest in Nigeria, different sectors of Nigeria, and the energy sector, solid mineral, and all of that, because he is also on this trip with the Minister of Trade and Investment, Minister of Solid Mineral, the Minister of Health, and all of that. These people are joining him on different bilateral meetings, also helping put together the agenda for Nigeria, which is bringing foreign direct investment that will develop critical sectors of the country's economy. So it's going to be a very busy period for President Bola Tinubu here in New
Absolutely,
York.
Femi, as it has been, in previous weeks. I'm sure that we'll talk to you even more often as the president speaks later today. Our State House correspondent, Femi Akonde, live for us in New York, which is where the United Nations General Assembly is holding.